So a teenager was asked by his minister, "Son, what was your favorite book growing up?" And he replied very quickly, "It was my parents' checkbook." What a beautiful thing in the individuation of spirit when a child grows into a level of understanding that sense of self-reliance and that sense of interdependency. Last week, Reverend Dieter and myself, we talked about that it is our divine inheritance, that the kingdom is at hand, that we are children of the great infinity of the planet, great spirit, great creator. And by the very nature of who we are, we have this immense checkbook of life, of energy, of love, of amazing, of whatever we can dream to be true. Do you agree with that? Do you have that essence? But likened to that idea of a checkbook, you know, when you were early on learning how a checkbook works, it always surprised me that I had to keep putting some in order to get some out, right? You'd go and go, what? You know, sorry, nobody's home in that department. So it was a learning, yes, it was a learning. And as metaphysical people and spiritual beings, where spirit is the great healer of all, it is crucial that we understand that life works like that of a checkbook, if you will. In other words, what you put in, what deposits you make every day, whenever you need then to go and make a withdrawal, that there's absolutely something there. And usually, it's when everything is going so well and so great that you put more deposits than usual. Are you with me? We teach you get what you bring. So when you're reading all the prayer requests on the news, ran by 6 conglomerate-owned ideas of the news, which are all saying the same thing, those are your prayer requests. So what deposits do you put in into your spiritual being? Do I put in? What words do I say? What do I practice? So when I'm ready to take a deposit out, like what has happened in Orlando, I have a deposit of faith there that can carry me through. I have a deposit of believability of knowing I don't know how it's going to all work out, but I know it's going to work out because I believe in God more than I ever have. And I know that even though there are events in the world that bring me to the core, what I know for me and what I know for you is the core of who you really are has the potentiality to rise and be birthed out of this moment here on this planet that is calling and longing for every one of us to come out of the closet. Are you with me? And I am not, thank you, I am not talking about a closet of your sexuality. I'm talking of a closet of who you are. I forgive myself as I stand here before you of all the times I didn't speak out. I forgive myself for all the times I was people-pleasing. I forgive myself for all those times I was so busy wanting someone to like me that I don't even know that I like them, but I was, whatever. And I forgive myself of that. So when we talk about the healing of the isms, I know that you kind of thought, apparently some people did, that's why they didn't come today. I was talking about isms, about the known isms, like racism. The ongoings of our life, which are crucial that we take a stand for every day. But I'm talking about the word ism like in the dictionary that says doctrine, theory, or practice. What is your doctrine, theory, or practice? Say that with me. What is my doctrine, theory, or practice? Because you have one. I get tickled when people say, unity doesn't have any dogma. Oh, yes, it does. You're the dogma. You are the example of the dogma every day on Facebook, on Twitter, your phone calls to your friends, your connections or lack of. You are showing the world, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for, these are the deposits I've been making in my checking account, I get what I bring, what am I bringing? Does this work for you? Okay, then I'll keep on. Okay, so a woman walked into her ladies group at church and she said, "My son is the perfect son." Another woman said, "Well, does he stay up late at night?" "No." Well, does he drink? No. Does he smoke? No. She said, well, he must be the perfect son. Must be, yeah. How old is he? Next Wednesday, he'll be 6 months old. I know, it's a little corny. Okay, so we are born in the perfection of the eternal living Christ, the dwelling place within us. We are that we dwell in the presence of pure being, and that level of perfection and wholeness. That would be our truth. That is our truth in its absolutism, no doubt about it. But there is the relativity of how we have a relationship to everything as we continue to develop the core of who we are. Yes? And it's easy to go walking around telling everybody what kind of core you have when everything in the world you perceive is going well, when the stock market is fine, when people aren't killing their own. That's a good time, an easy time for us to talk about, well, I believe in unity and we believe in this stuff, right? But when we're really called to worship, when we're really called to praise, when we're really called to be at a greater vibratory field, is when we have world events that need us to stand up, shout out, and live out loud. Yes. Right? And so what we need to look at, what we want to look at, is we want to look at if we're not thinking the thoughts we want to be thinking, we want to change our thoughts. If we're not feeling the feelings we really want to be feeling right now, we need to get a new feeling. Thought plus feeling equal reality. Thank you, Alan. Okay, so thought plus feeling equal result, equal action, equals what is so, right? If we're not happy with what we're seeing, what we are withdrawing out, then we want to change our actions and our deeds so the next time we're ready for a withdrawal, we have more than enough to pull out of that account without depleting our spiritual nature. Yes? So that would be one thing. You know, I don't so much mind traditional Christianity. It's part of my roots. It's part of where I came from. I think it's helped me understand a lot of the victimhood that we have on our planet today. And that was the one thing that really bothered me, is because we were always told we're not worthy, we're not deserving, and that we were like victims of something. And what happens when we get into that thinking, feeling capacity, what happens when we become too weary too long because something has happened, and it is horrific, and we need to recognize it for what it is. But when it lingers in our level of us feeling bad and feeling bad and feeling bad, what happens is we become complacent then. We're just unwilling to make a commitment to anything. We're just wallowing then. We're not really standing up as a lighthouse. We're just poor little old me and join a club, right? And so in that space, and I know none of you are doing that, but you might share it with some of your friends, right? But feeling bad equal being complacent. Right? And so, no, we don't have control over everything going on around us. And those people that still think that, you know, read Good Housekeeping, okay? I mean, control is an illusion. There's no such thing as you have control. No, you don't. You don't have control. But something that really helped me and continues to, even when I was a teenager and even when I become acting like a teenager right now, I get out my little sheet of paper, I draw a line in it, and I say, what do I have control over? On the left side of the page. And on the right side, what do I not have control over? What do we not have control over? Participate with me. Politics, the weather, traffic. Way to go, Liz. Other people. I mean, this list requires you to get like 5 or 6 sheets of paper. Just dump it out. All the things that you don't have control over. But what you have control over, yes, is yourself, your light, what you post, what you speak, what you share, how you respond, how you connect, how you do not connect. My new one is, I get a new one every year because we are made new in the image and likeness of the Christ consciousness, yes? So we need sometimes to be rebirthed with a new idea. My new one is, every day with whom I speak with whom I talk with whom I see, I act as if that's the last conversation we'll ever have. It's the last moment I'll ever have with them and they'll ever have with me. And in that space, it's been a great measurement for me of, did I say you I love? Did I say thank you for being in my life? Did I say thank you for teaching me today, even though it was a little, I had to really work with it? Thank you for calling me on my stuff. I appreciate it. What was it and what is it that's that memory that I feel in that moment, at least in that moment, it is complete. We had the summer solstice here on Thursday night with the Unity Dancers. It was wonderful. We celebrated and it was just a beautiful thing, about as hot as it was today when you first came in. And so in that longest, hottest day of the year, I pointed out to people that part of the ism we need to understand is every day can be long for you. Every day. Not just one day of the year, but every day, depending upon what you deposit into that day, what your expectation is. And part of the world is too hung up in theoryism. Now, in South Carolina, that word would work. It's not really a word, but just roll with me. Theoryism is when we talk a lot of great ideals and we post quotes all over. But theoryism moves us from a place of transition to, what am I practicing? What feet are walking with what I have? Because if I'm just being bombarded with information, if I'm pulling from a checking account that I feel is depleted, the other ism that takes over us is confusionism. Confusionism. And that's when we begin to, from moment to moment, we lose our sense of inner empowerment, of knowing that Spirit is the great healer of our lives. Say that with me. Spirit is the great healer of our lives. We get the guidance. We know what we need to do. We know what needs to happen. Let me give you an example of Scripture. God spoke to Jonah and said to Jonah very clearly, Jonah, I need you to go to Nineveh and take care of it. They are going through a very difficult time, and I need you to take your light, your energy, and I need you to check things out because they need you. And Jonah heard the information and had this moment of, no, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. No, I want to go do this. No, I want to go do that. So what did Jonah do? You might wonder. Thank you. Now that you asked me, Jonah took a boat and went away. He denied what he was being told. He went away. And of course you know what happened. He was swallowed up by the whale. Often, unless we're clear, unless we've made the deposits that we know of what we believe clearly defines who we are, what we stand for, every life matters, unless we're clear about those particular things, when we get the message of Spirit, of what we are to go do, of what we are to speak, of what we are to share, and we deny that, we get swallowed up by all these other isms around us versus standing ground firmly into who we are and what we're supposed to be being and doing. Has that happened to any of you lately? Thank you for your honesty and for being an extrovert. That helps you too. We get swallowed up. We get taken over because the message is there. And people blame God. Like, I can't believe God allowed this to happen. Well, God builds your garage, but you got to pull your car in it. It's not God's fault because we are that expression. We have moved from I'm a victim to if it's going to happen, it needs to happen through me, my deposits, to it is not I, but the Spirit, my Father within me who doeth the work. And then we evolve to a greater place. God and I are one. We got this. We got this, right? God and I are one. We got this. We got this. I'm going to close with a cute story about a magician that was on a boat. Tends to be a boat day. Was on a boat, and he was just really great. He could do all these magical things with his hands, make things disappear and everything. Well, he kind of got aggravated from time to time when he was performing because there was a parrot on that ship with him, and the parrot would say, "He's got it in his pocket. He's got it in his pocket." You know, he's hiding it under his shirt. He's hiding it under his shirt. So anyway, you have to go with it. It's okay. Lighten up a little bit. Okay, So anyway, lo and behold, the ship runs into a glacier and it sinks. Well, the guy, the magician, he looks up and he certainly has survived it, and he looks around to see who else has. Well, it's the parrot. And the parrot looks at him and goes, "I have no idea what you did to make that ship go away." Well, often in our misunderstanding of the law, we think that life has made something go away. But what I would ask you today is, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? How did we get to this place of such not being normal that people kill each other? How did we get to that place? How did we get to the place where our rights are being taken away? This is a spiritual question, not a political question. And if we feel that these things are disappearing, are being taken away from us by some kind of magic, it's our time then to put deposits in everyday life of love, to put deposits in who we are, to not be quiet, but to be spoken of out loud what we believe. Thank you for being in unity. Thank you for what you do in the world. Thank you for being who you are. Bless you. Thank you.